Good morning. We made it to a new year, and I almost got here late, so I'm sorry I got up here a couple of seconds late, but it's good to see all of you. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation, where none of us ever need to make New Year's resolutions because we're already perfect. Actually, I don't know about that, but we're not so much interested in helping you become a better person here. We're not that much interested in helping you become a better person. We're more interested in helping you realize you're a better person than you probably think you are. That's our ministry here. So welcome to this place. I would like to thank you all for coming. The gift of your presence means so much. When I see a full chair and a wonderful living, breathing, smiling person in it, it just lifts my spirits. So I'd like to just invite you to stand for just a second, and we're not going to do any physical greeting, but I would just like for you to look around. Go ahead and stand up and just look at those around you. Get a sense of this gathered community. Get a sense of who we are together. We're still building community. Did you see somebody that you want to meet after the service? I hope so. We are in the relationship construction business here, and so every Sunday we hope that you take the opportunity to meet at least one new person and begin to form some new friendships and connections, because we've really been out there all by ourselves for too long with this pandemic, and we have to re-knit and rebuild community. It's so important. But I just want to thank you for showing up. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, and please stand again for the gathering hymn, number 124, Be That Guide. It is in the gray hymnal, and you will need it because there will be no projection in the front today. 124. Be that guide whom love sustains, rise above the daily strife, lift on high the good you find, help to heal the hurts of life. Be that helper nothing daunts, doubt a friend or taunt a foe, ever strive for liberty, show the path that life should go. Be that builder trusting good, bitter though the test may be, through all ages they are right, though they build in agony. Be that teacher faith directs, move beyond the old frontier, though the fright and fear that faith be tomorrow's pioneer.
We're sorry that light bulb is broken. Next week we'll have the words projected. Sorry.
Dear friend, I am so sorry about last night. It was a nightmare in every way, but together you and I will laugh at last night someday. Ice cream, he gave me ice cream, vanilla ice cream, imagine that. Ice cream, and for the first time we were together without a spot. Friendly, he was so friendly, that isn't like him, but even so, will wonders never cease? Will wonders never cease? It's been a most peculiar day. Will wonders never cease? Will wonders never cease? Oh, wait, where was I? Oh, I am so sorry about last night. It was a nightmare in every way. But together you and I will set last night someday? Yes. I sat there waiting in that cafe and never knowing that you were fat. Oop, oop. That you were near. You were outside looking bald. Oh. I am so sorry about last night. Last night I was so nasty. Well, he deserved it, but even so, that George is not like this George. This is a new George that I don't know. Somehow it all reminds me of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. For right before my eyes, a man that I despise has turned into a man I like. It's almost like a dream, and strange as it may seem, he came to offer me ice cream.
Now that's the way to start a new year. We affirm that love is our greatest purpose. Accepting one another is the truest form of faithful living. The search for truth is our constant star. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to find hope in times of fear, and to live out our Unitarian Universalist values every day as a beloved community. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life. Please join me in saying our affirmation. Love is our doctrine. Wait, I'm going to say, I realize that you don't have it up there, and some of you may not know this, so allow me to say one line, and then you repeat, and so on. Love is our doctrine, compassion is our way. Love is our doctrine, compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration. Build a community of caring fellowship. Nurture the hopes and serve the needs of our world. Fire consumes and casts a bright light. May our chalice flame consume our regrets of the past, our fears about the future, and our worries about today. May it light for us a path of joy and peace. Each week we light 3 chalices. The first is for our own congregation, the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Salem, Oregon. We light our second chalice for our friends in our partner church in Šimen Falva, Transylvania, Romania. And we light our third chalice for our children and youth in our religious education program and for all the children of the world. And I personally just want to welcome all the kids who are in the sanctuary this morning. Welcome. Please join us as we sing the flame into light.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
I don't want to be a dog. I want to be a cat. You can't be a cat. Well, why not? Because you're a frog. Well, I don't like being a frog. It's too wet. Well, you can't be a cat. I want to be a rabbit. You can't be a rabbit. Why not? Look, I can hop. Sure, but where are your long hairs? Besides, what's wrong with being a frog? I don't like being a frog. It's too slimy. That may be, but you can't be a rabbit. I want to be a pig. You can't be a pig. Why not? Most of all, because you're a frog, but also because you don't have a curly tail or eat garbage. I can eat garbage. Everyone says that until they eat garbage. Sorry, you can't be a pig. I want to be an owl. Of course you want to be an owl. Being an owl is the greatest thing ever. Boy, would you love being an owl. So can I be an owl then? No, of course not. Why not? 1, you don't have wings. 2, you don't look wise. 3, you can't turn your head all the way around. And 4, you are a frog. What's wrong with being a frog anyway? Too much bug eating. I see. But still, no, being an owl for you. Why so glum? I don't want to be a frog. What do you want to be then? Not a frog. I want to be a cat or a rabbit or a pig or an owl. Something cute and warm. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I love eating cats. I love eating rabbits and pigs and owls too. And I am pretty hungry. I might just go gobble some up right now. That's terrible. It's who I am. But guess the one thing I never eat? Badgers? No, I eat badgers. Lots of badgers. Frogs? Bingo! Why don't you eat frogs? Because they are too wet and slimy and full of bugs. Oh, so it's good to be a frog? Yep. I guess you can't fight nature. We are what we are. You are a fierce hunter. And you are a wet, slimy, bug-eating, very lucky frog. You should just be happy you're not a fly. What's wrong with being a fly? The end. Okay, if everybody can stand up in the middle to make the love arch, we will be on our way. Thank you.
Wherever you walk, walk in love. Wherever you walk, walk in peace. Wherever you walk, walk in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with you. Wherever you walk, walk in love. Wherever you walk, walk in peace. Wherever you walk, walk in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with you.
What a lovely sight, those beautiful children. It prepares us to calm down and feel the deeper, truer rhythms of life. Take a breath and just be in this moment. Just be in this moment. That we might look deeply into the nature of our lives together. I look around and I see so much on the American landscape that breaks my heart. I see the tents and the tarps of those around town who have no shelter. I read about all those tens of thousands who die every year in our country, deaths of despair. And so this is a place of compassion and healing. May this be a place where you feel compassion, where you feel accepted and understood. May this be a place where you extend compassion and understanding to others. May this be a place where you'll be reminded that compassion is our path. Compassion is our path as we walk along. And gratitude. Gratitude. All manner of marvelous and wondrous things to behold in our lives. I don't see how anyone who has looked and seen can do aught but say, where I stand, wherever I stand, I am on holy ground. And we stand on holy ground in this place as we gather, grateful for the countless blessings that sustain us in our lives, the love and the joy and the hope that we find together. And so we remember to have a heart of gratefulness, for wherever we stand on holy ground. Amen. Next week, I'd like to remind you that on the second Sunday of every month, we have a ritual, a very simple ritual after the service. It's called Compassionate Connection for those who are going through a hard time. And it's a wonderful time for us to get together. So that will be next Sunday. And I hope you'll join us if you are experiencing difficulties in your life.
Good morning. I'm Eric Schumann from Lifeline's Lay Ministry. And our role as Lifelines is to extend the ministry of this church to our members and to our friends by being available to people who are in need. And when I say in need, I might be referring to illness of them, a family member, a friend, a family crisis, a death, or any emotional and spiritual needs that we may have. You can reach us this way by email at lifelineslayministry@uusalem.org, and that email address is posted on our website, the church website. Or you can phone the church office and you can leave a message at the prompt. How do you share a concern with fellow members and friends? Well, the concerns are posted online, so you can go to the church website and post it there, or you can write it in a book, which is in the foyer, which is staffed beginning at 10 o'clock each morning by a member of Lifelines. We had one concern posted online this past week, and it was from our member, Shelley Hodges French. She has a nephew by marriage who is currently in the ICU at Salem Hospital on a ventilator with COVID. He was triple vaccinated. She asks that we have grace in our hearts toward her nephew and his family, and to send positive energy toward them.
Please remain seated for the pastoral hymn. It's number 127. Can I see another's woe? Can I see another's woe and not be in sorrow too? Can I see another's grief and not seek for kind relief? Can I see a falling tear and not feel my sorrow share? Can a father see his child weep, nor be with sorrow filled? Can a mother sit and hear infant groan and infant fear? No, no, never can it be. Never, never can it be.
To become is a lifelong process. Nothing is constant, not even the self. We evolve in the midst of narratives meant only for some and ways of being made narrow by fear and power. We must then have the courage to listen to the truth of our own lives, to the wisdom that comes from within, responding without resistance or need to control, but with welcome and curiosity. This is what ensures our becoming is an unfolding of our truest self. This lifelong labor cannot be carried out alone. It requires help from friends and lovers, family and creaturely companions who bear witness to what makes us come alive and say to us, listen, look, feel. Pay attention to that. This is loving and being loved. Telling the stories, sharing the memories, giving thanks for the relationships, understanding, and experiences past that have shaped us to this day. This is loving and being loved. Celebrating new beginnings that excite, holding risks together, leaning into unknowns with promises of support and companionship. This is loving and being loved. Listening to the future, calling uniquely to each of us in the midst of all of life's noise. Helping one another find our place in the shared labor of collective life. Supporting each other in what it is the world's ache is asking from us. This is loving and being loved. To say for the first time, this is who I am. This is the truth of my body. This is what I know about myself. This is my name, and this is where my path is leading me. And to have it heard, have it received, have it affirmed, and then to say it again and again as we change, as the world changes, and to have each proclamation greeted with an open-armed embrace. This is loving and being loved. There is no me without you. We shape one another. The sacred that birthed us weaves our lives together so that we can only find ourselves through shared becoming. For my journey and all its winding ways, for yours, for all the saints who labored for what is, all the kin whose lives made ours possible, for all those yet to come, for whom living our truths today will mean breaking possibilities open for them tomorrow. We pause. We give thanks. We acknowledge. This is loving and being loved.
Thank you, Gloria. And thank you, musicians, too. You came in early in practice. I sure appreciate you sharing that as well. Did you know, this is a strange thing, I got to tell you, but did you know that we, this congregation, spent, many years ago, we spent a hefty portion of our advertising budget, $50 a week. It was in the Statesman Journal, 52 Sundays a year, so that's a lot of money. But we spent this portion of our advertising budget to let the larger community know that we are a Confucianist congregation. You think I'm making it up? No, I'm not. This ad had originally had the tagline, it says, where faith dwells with reason. That's a standard Unitarian Universalist appeal to the larger public. It indicates that we are people of faith, but also people that use our minds, where faith dwells with reason. Pretty good, but somewhere along the lines, the letters got scrambled just a little bit, and some new letter got added in or two, and the ad continued to run, but we didn't notice this change. And it proclaimed that this congregation was a place where faith dwells with reason. Where faith dwells with reason. Where did that's kind of, anyway, once we noticed this typo where face dwells with reason, of course we had it corrected. But you have to admit, this might have appealed to Confucianists. So I wonder if we should have tried that out for a while, where face dwells with reason. Has a certain appeal to me. The ancient Chinese concept of faith, as the 20th century translator Lin Yu Tang has noted, cannot be translated or defined. It's abstract, it's intangible, yet it is the most delicate standard by which Chinese social intercourse is regulated. As for me, what do I know? I'm not a Confucian scholar. It's just that this concept of face appeals to me because I imagine that it entails treating everyone with such decency and respect that no one's face is disfigured by shame or humiliation or neglect. It helps to understand this concept more, I think, if you understand the social and political context in which Confucianism arose. At that time, Chinese society was a savage, or before Confucianism arose, Chinese society was a savage, barbaric mess where warlords fought one another, and everyone suffered horrendously in a terrible state of anarchy. It was a dreadful thing. If you read just a couple of historic accounts of that time, hundreds of thousands of people being massacred. It was just dreadful, dreadful. This ancient society was in sore need of some civilizing. And the ancient sage Confucius set about instituting some civilizing changes from the ground up in very concrete and very practical ways. They set a positive tone for their children because they taught them the first thing they learned to read and write were the words, "Human beings are by nature good." Human beings are by nature good. That's very Unitarian Universalist too, by the way. And this set a positive tone, and the Chinese people were repeatedly reminded by Confucius's anecdotes and maxims to live up to those words during their lifetimes. And it made a difference. It made a difference. Over time, this brought about a remarkable shift that lifted Chinese civilization to a higher moral and ethical plane. It was a good thing. Well, why am I talking about this now? Ours is not a barbarous society in which tribal warlords are battling it out. We've already become civilized, haven't we? Well, maybe we used to be, but you know what? The cracks are beginning to show. The cracks are beginning to show in our social foundations. There's less civility. There's a sour and mutually hostile mood around the country, especially as we come closer to the anniversary of last year's warning shot at the Capitol known as the insurrection. And if we stay on the current path, we may well become the disunited States of America. Our social media industry dedicates their finest intellectual energies and technological efforts to maximize profits at the cost of sorting us all out into warring tribalistic factions. Many good people are being led down dark paths. And I've seen good folks, I've known good folks who've gotten lost in conspiratorial, paranoid realms where everything looks like a threat and they, in response to imagined threats, become threatening. Mutual trust is being destroyed as fast as the Amazon rainforest. And yet, you know what? I don't despair. I don't. I don't despair because I actually believe those words that the Chinese children were taught to write. Human beings are by nature good. And that has been my experience all through the years of my life. But it's also been my experience that even though we're good, this whole thing can go haywire. And it seems headed that way right now. It hinges a lot on the context that we create, You know, it's hard to be civil when we're at each other's throats all the time. On the other hand, it's hard to be at someone's throat when you're remembering to be civil, remembering not to lose sight of another person's humanity, rather than seeing them just as nothing more than a political label. When we look at people, when we see people as nothing more than just that kind of identity, that kind of a political identity, it's a grave mistake. I would say, even more than a grave mistake, I would say it's a sin. You don't hear me use that word very often from this pulpit, but I think it's a pretty good word to use, this ancient theological language. It reminds me that demonizing other people, whether you are a Trump supporter in a so-called red state or a super progressive urbanista in a solid domain, when you demonize other human beings, it's a sin. It's a sin. The ancient Greek and Hebrew word for sin, and that's how I'm using it here, simply means to miss the mark. To miss the mark. To sin, in its most original ancient concept, is to miss the mark, as in an archer missing the mark. And when you repeatedly miss the mark, when you repeatedly sin like this, whether you're being led by authoritarian or totalitarian rhetoric or some other deluded Manichaean notions, you'll soon become part of the problem. And I don't want to be part of the problem. Not anymore. I think I have been in some ways in times past. I want to be part of a healing solution. And here's a way to begin, which I first got a strong sense on. I remember I was listening to this lecture by Jack Kornfield. He's an American Buddhist teacher. He is a great soul. I heartily recommend any book by Jack Kornfield to you. I was just looking at a copy of The Wise Heart, A Path with a Heart. Jack Kornfield has a lot of wisdom to share. And I was listening to a lecture by him. Kornfield's a longtime practitioner of Buddhist meditation. He traveled all the way over to Asia and began his studies for a number of years in remote Thai monasteries. So I'm telling you this so you'll understand that he is one calm, compassionate being. That's who he is. And when he approaches other people, there's something about his bearing and his smile and his openness and his calm joy and his positive regard for others that helps people realize that he poses no threat. We really do pick up on one another's vibes in more ways than we realize. Jack Kornfield has spent his life teaching how to help people end needless suffering, and they can feel it when he comes, and this opens up all sorts of life-affirming possibilities. When Kornfield looks at people, he doesn't just look at people, he looks at them more deeply. And he realizes that each person that he looks at is probably going through a hard time in one way or another. He knows that every person he looks at is going to die someday. He knows that each person he looks at is going to get sick probably and suffer a lot. He knows that every person he looks at, without exception, has had their heart broken, And he does this exercise to awaken his own compassion for other people because it helps him realize that we're all in the same boat. It's not fair the way it shakes out. So many are in this luxurious first class section, and too many are in the steerage below. But it's the same boat. It's the same boat. And Cornfield could tell that he had this effect on people. And he was mentioning this, not in a self-congratulatory way, but he was mentioning this to draw attention to the creative possibilities in human interaction. And when I heard him say this, it reminded me, he's not the only one who can do this. I could do it too. And so could you. We all have spiritual agency in our interactions, for good or ill, each time we interact with another person. And if you pay attention, there's an opportunity to make someone else's life a little bit better from day to day. And when you do this, your life is better too. We need to begin walking on a better path as a nation, and we start with small steps. In this place, in this congregation, and in Unitarian Universalist congregations, we say that we covenant, take it very seriously, it's a sacred commitment, but we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. That sounds pretty good, but to me it sometimes kind of sounds like an obligation, a commandment. Thou shalt have observed the inherent worth and dignity of every person. But really, it's more of an invitation. It's an invitation to joyfully dance in an infinitely spacious ballroom of life, to dance with grace and respect and appreciation for others as you move in infinitely creative ways in this cosmic dance. Gloria and I are going to talk about something a little bit further in the service to help you join in this process. We want you to join space. We'll tell you about that. That's why that's the title of the sermon. We'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. But for now, I'd just like to invite you to pause in the spirit of meditation and prayer, and center yourself at the beginning of this new year. Think of where you have come from. Think of the steps that brought you to this place. Think of what your heart is telling you. Feel what your heart is telling you. Look at the world around you. Look at all the people. They are so lovely, and they suffer so much. And we can make so much difference with our love, with our compassion, with our healing touch. And so as we prepare to walk forward into a new year, we see the path ahead, and we will walk it. And it will bring more love and more joy. And I am so grateful to be walking this path with you. And for all this we say thanks and amen.
The work, the work of operating and managing the UU movement is dependent upon the generosity of this congregation. endless volunteer hours go into the service on the board and on many teams and committees, as well as the physical work of keeping the grounds maintained. We extend enormous thanks to all who give their time and energy to create and maintain this joyful home. Beyond our volunteers, we also thank our staff. We know that many programs cannot function well without generous monetary offerings from this congregation. Each month, we share the plate with a local organization, and this month's recipient is Family Promise, Family Promise of the Willamette Valley, formerly known as the Interfaith Hospitality Network. UUCS is one of a number of local congregations that support families who are or who have experienced homelessness and are in the process of transitioning to permanent employment and housing. It's extremely difficult to rehouse a family once they've become homeless. A family receives an eviction for not paying their rent, and it will be on their record and make future landlords less likely to rent to them. They end up owing large sums of money in legal fees and for breaking their lease. In addition, not having a home makes school attendance and finding a stable job far more difficult. By stepping in, Family Promise keeps families safe and secure, ensuring that kids will wake up every morning in their own beds. To contribute your pledge and to donate to Family Promise, you may go to uusalem.org and donate online, or if you're present here today, you may leave your offering in the basket as you exit. The basket is by the door. Thank you so much for your kind generosity.
Will you build me a house that really will be mine? Then let me give you my design, a simple scheme of the house I dream of. Build my house of wood, build my house of stone, build my house of brick and mortar. Make the ceiling strong, strong against the storm, shelter when the days grow shorter. But build my house of love and paint my house with trusting and warm it with the warmth of your heart. Make the floor of faith, make the walls of truth, put a roof of peace above. Only build my house of love.
This morning, Reverend Rick will be lighting our social justice candle. We light this candle each week to remind us of the many ways this congregation extends support, caring, and kindness to the wider world.
So sorry about the light bulb burning out or whatever it is with our projector, so you can't see a lot of the announcements that we're making. That's why we're having to do a little bit more talking than we normally do from the pulpit. But we are still having people register in advance to attend the services and with proof of vaccination. And you know all that because you're in here. So hope to see you next Sunday for that. So let's see the next slide. Next Sunday, I'll be talking about personal journey that I took many years ago that still has influence on my life today, so I hope I'll see you next Sunday. We're having an auction, an online auction, and we're hoping that we can get a lot. We've been hoping for some Rembrandts or Van Goghs, but lacking that, we'll take good stuff that you got to add to this auction. It's an online auction, and you can go to our website and find out how to contribute. The auction's going to be January the 16th through the 23rd, and so please do that. There's a concert coming up this Thursday. Julianne, I can't quite read her name from here. Oh, yeah, Julianne Jackson here. And so please look at our website and be aware of a concert that's happening here. It's part of our diversity series. We have one a month, so please check that out. News of the community. We are once again going to be participating in the Family Promise Program. We've been participating in this. We helped start the program. It used to be called the Salem Interfaith Shelter Network. And we're going to need volunteers who will help. We'll be housing homeless families here, or I think a week. And there's a lot of work to do. So please see Sarah Chateau after the service. Is Sarah, she might be in the fellowship hall. Oh, there, Sarah and Roberta, too. Oh, there, I'm sorry. I'm saying the wrong people. The wrong people. Okay, there. Stand up so they can see you. That's all three of them. They're working very. And Deborah. I can't see I can't remember their names with their faces covered. So anyway, that's a very important program. And today, let's see. Yeah, I see a couple of other announcements, but there's too many. Let's just skip on to the next slide, and we'll get ready for our closing hymn. But before that, we want to invite you to consider joining Space. And Gloria's going to tell you a little bit more about what that is. And if you do want to join Space, the children will come in and they'll hand you a badge and they'll hand you a little card to remind you what Space is. So get ready.
All right. I like it when I get to have fun. Welcome to Space. This morning we are entering a dimension that is probably not new to us, but as we enter this new year, let's take a moment to look at our space program. What program is that, you ask? Am I about to become a space cadet? Well, Space, S-P-A-C-E. And you'll be able to follow along with me. The children are passing out some little cards, and I'm going to explain our space program. Space, S-P-A-C-E, stands for the Society for the Prevention of Affirming Compassionate Encounters. The first principle of UUism is to, as Rick has said this morning already, affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. As we go out today, let's remember to promote affirming and compassionate encounters, even with those with whom we have little in common. The kids have, I think, passed out the cards, and when they're finished, they're welcome to stay, or I don't know, Molly, are you going to take them back? I don't know. Okay. I'm going to wait just a minute to go on until we get settled. I love it when kids are involved in this stuff. SPACE stands for the Society for the Promotion of Alternative Creative Encounters. Today's the day, folks. To get out of that rut we've been sitting in, I know I have been in a rut, and get up. Can you do one thing differently each day? Maybe you could take a walk in a different neighborhood. Or call a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. I did that just yesterday, it was great. Or just take a drive out into the country. What can you do that's a creative alternative to your regular routine? SPACE stands for the Prevention of Apathetic Callous Encounters. I guess it's kind of human nature to get tired of the world and think we just don't care anymore. And maybe it's just me, but don't we all get cranky sometimes? You can ask Alan about that. Let's bring hope and light into our encounters with others. Hope and light tend to lift everyone up and wipe away apathy and callousness. SPACE stands for the Prevention of Antagonistic Calamitous Encounters. I think that means we're supposed to try to communicate with each other with love and kindness rather than with anger and chaos. And I think Rick addressed that very well in his message. Let's all work on that, shall we? SPACE stands for the Prevention of Adversarial and Calumnious Emails. I had to look calumnious up. I was an English teacher, but it still is not a word I use every day, right? Well, adversarial and calumnious mean basically, don't be nasty to people and tell lies about them. This seems to happen a lot these days, especially in emails, on Facebook and Instagram, and yes, even in person. So as we go about our days, just remember to be mindful of how you communicate in person and online. It can only make the world a better place. And now you know what SPACE is. So yes, you are a fully enrolled SPACE cadet. Your parents probably told you that when you were little. But as soon as you have engaged in at least one interaction that promotes our SPACE program, you will instantly become a full-fledged astronaut. Let's begin our flight training right now.
All right. Well, please join me standing for our closing hymn, number 148. Let freedom span both east and west. It's in the gray hymnal. Let freedom span both east and west, and love both south and north, in universal fellowship throughout the whole wide earth. In beauty, wonder everywhere, let us communion find. Compassion be the golden cord, close binding humankind. Beyond all barriers of race, of color, class, and creed, let us make friendship, human worth, our common faith and deed. Then east and west will meet and share, and south shall build with north, one human commonwealth of good throughout the whole wide earth.
Thank you for coming today. Please stay a while and join together in the fellowship hall for coffee and conversation. It is the tradition of UUCS to extend our hands to our neighbors to say our closing words. However, you may feel more comfortable just standing with your hands at your side. Please join together in spirit as we say our closing words. And again, because we don't have the projector working, I'll say each line and then you can repeat. May faith in the spirit of life, may faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another,
and love for the sacred in one another,
be ours now and in all the days to come.
Be ours now and in all the days to come.
Blessed be.